Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of the Photure podcast. We're here with CTO Evan Morris. It's great to have you on, Evan. And if we could just get right into it, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background and what you've been doing lately.
Yeah, good to be here, Ian. I'm Evan Morris, CTO of Photure. Uh, I'm a mobile dev by trade, but I've done many jobs before then. I started out as a mobile dev at JB Hunt, where I met our fellow co-founder Patrick. We started coding together about 4 years ago, and just really enjoyed working together. And from my perspective, he was really someone that I kind of looked up to in a way because he had, been in the hackathon scene, was coming from San Francisco. So, we started hacking on the weekends, and I really saw, where I needed to get to as a developer in order to really shine in this type of environment. So from there, I went to a couple different companies. I worked at Infosys for a little while, and then a company out here in Bentonville. And then he called me up to work on Photure. Patrick did. Prior to development, I've worked in sales. I've worked in warehouses. I was a call center. What was it? Customer retention specialist. Um, and I was terrible at it, but I was able to find kind of my calling when I finally got a job working construction. I was kind of supplies for big box stores remodels. Meyer in the Midwest we would work on, and while I was working at a store in Columbus, Ohio, there was an ad for a coding boot camp run by Ohio State University. So I kind of put it in the back of my mind. I was always interested in computers, but you know, just thought about it. Around the same time, I was asking people. This was 2017. I was asking people that were working with us, our contractors, what the job was like during the recession, during like the 2008, 2009. And what they said was, if you had the skills, you could find work. You could remodel a kitchen, or you could, repave a driveway. I didn't have any of those skills. All I could do was, look at inventories, organize some stuff. Um, so, that boot camp looked really enticing.
Mhm.
And then about half a year later, there was a show on NPR called The 1A, and they did a show that said like I make $100,000 without a college degree. And I swear, like half of the people that called in were software engineers. Most of them had taught themselves, but when I
Wow.
saw that, it those two things kind of clicked, and I was like, you know what, if I can find something that's kind of recession proof that gives me a skill. Um, so a year and a half from there, I was in San Diego at a boot camp, just trying to learn this. And I was lucky enough to be able to save up enough money from that construction job to focus on it full time. Um, and I always knew I wanted to build mobile apps. So my professor told me about React Native, the technology that we use, and I built a simple app. It was I like watching like video game speed runs.
Mhm.
I just used speedrun.com's API to so you could search for video game speed runs on your phone in an app, and apparently that was enough to get the attention of JB Hunt, and that's how I got my first job. Met Patrick, and here we are.
Wow. Yeah, so you kind of have an interesting background doing a lot of different types of jobs, bouncing from construction, sales, and then into coding. Coding was the last thing you've done until now. You've just been working through coding jobs up until here.
Yeah. JB Hunt as an entry level developer. Then I went to Infosys as a lead. I was able to do some things. I worked on an tractor supply company's curbside pickup during the pandemic. So that was kind of a
Mhm.
high visibility product for them. Um, and so I was able to kind of, hone my skills and actually kind of start leading people. I
Mhm.
had had a little bit of that experience with construction, but really doing it in a, development environment was something new. Working with a team in India and another team in the Bahamas was interesting. A lot
Mhm.
of late nights that led into early mornings. But yeah, from there, just really wanted to just, become exceptional at building mobile apps. Um, and then kind of broaden my skills later. And Photure has really been an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Going from building just mobile apps to blockchain infrastructure, infrastructure at this point. Um, but yeah, that's
Do you
kind of
feel
been my
like
route.
Photure's like a chance for you to debut everything you've been working towards with all your experiences that you have to really showcase what you've learned?
Yeah, it's interesting. Uh, uh, coming through Photure, going from a weekend project to a hackathon project, and then eventually to a full fledged startup. We're doing this. Um, it was really something that I learned during our accelerator through Tachyon and Consensus that I couldn't just be a developer anymore. I couldn't just be a coder. Taking on the role as CTO, um, you're the role becomes more than just get the code and get it out there. Just like a company is more than just the technology that's behind it. We have to come up with plans. We have to execute those plans. We need to be able to convey that message to our community and the world. Um, so over the last few months, I've talked to the guys about it, Patrick and Matt, uh, that I as a CTO have to become more than just the developer. I need to be the technological like face of the company. So
Mhm.
that's kind of transitioned into working with uh, other platforms, other technology groups, and yeah, to introduce some of the things that we're working on is the web platform that we're partnering with Unlock Protocol
Mhm.
to build a complete publication suite that will include Photure as a mobile kind of documenting tool to supplement that process. So, trying to find more opportunities like that to take Photure and embed it into people's workflows. It comes back to even the sales background. I have to have a pitch for these companies and what Photure can do and why they want it. So yeah, it's a culmination of my development experience for sure, but it's even more encompassing, when I really think back to all the things that I've done as far as, leading a group of people and then trying to sell, a vision and a product in the end.
Mhm. And when you're selling like the Photure vision, sometimes is it hard to get people maybe up to date on like maybe some technology they don't even realize exists yet? Does that ever happen?
Oh yeah. I think the one thing that I understand is a privilege of the position that I'm in is that being a technology officer, I'm going to other techie people and talking to them about what Filter can do.
Mhm.
So with that, it's they're pretty much in the know. They understand. I can go into the technical details about how Filter would fit in with what they're doing, but
Mhm.
I really feel for Matt, our CEO, because he then has to take these technical conversations and distill them down into the points where, and even working on our social campaigns,
Hmm.
that's a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
I'm able to speak the jargon and, not have to, you know, put it in ways that people that haven't been doing this for years understand. Whereas
Hmm.
you guys are really, trying to convert, Web two people with their, Facebook and Google accounts to really be open to this new paradigm. So,
Hmm.
I'm kind of lucky in that sense that I'm able to stick with the technical crowd, but I definitely see those struggles that definitely Matt has, and I try and lend a hand when I can.
Hmm. Yeah, there definitely is a little barrier of like translating the back end of Photure to people that aren't very well uh have a good background on the technology. So it's definitely hard to translate that to the broader audience that really has may not even have a clue about the technology. That definitely happens. I've experienced it. I'm sure Matt experienced it all the time. But at the end of the day, I feel like once they see what it can do, explaining it won't even
Yeah,
matter as much because once they see what it can do, it'll be so much easier to be like, to show them than to explain it to them. But
yeah, yeah. No, I definitely understand, and I think that's something that Patrick is really working hard on. When we started Vulture, we just wanted to be the fastest and easiest way to make an NFT. We thought that, um, and I'll give just credit to him. He kind of understood the market, and understood that the tools that were out there for people to interact with the blockchain were cumbersome and had a pretty steep learning curve. So when we were able to just come out with an app where you could just snap a photo and you know fill out a form and boom, it's on a blockchain, it's an NFT. It was I think it was really that easy on ramp for a lot of people. Some of
mhm,
the press that we got for that was absolutely critical, and what we've been able to kind of do since then. And it's all because of understanding that we, and not just us, but just the blockchain as a whole needs to be as fast, easy, and from our side, we think be as Web two as possible. So that included adding sign in with your email address to get in the voucher.
mhm.
So all those things like that. That's something that Patrick is really working on, and I think with a release later this week, we'll be even closer to that.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I still remember when I met you guys on the side of the street, when you showed me the app, I had not thought that that technology, like turning a picture directly into an NFT, would be possible at that time. So I was blown away when I saw that. That's why I was so intrigued. I didn't realize I couldn't really fathom how big that is, but I just knew or where it would be going, but I knew it was something crazy. It's like something very, very important. So that's when I was just like, wow, I was blown away. But
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and honestly, it's when you contacted us to come on, it was a no brainer for like to be honest, you're one of the first people that really like kind of saw what we saw in a way.
mhm,
And it's like, oh yeah, let's get this mind as part of what we're doing, because yeah. And then even there, like you one of the first things you said was like, can I create a collection in this? And I said, you will. Like, you will be able to. And then we built that out during the Tachyon hackathon.
mhm,
We've obviously transitioned our kind of mission and our target audience since then.
Mhm.
But all that infrastructure remains. The tech that allowed us to create collections in a mobile app and instantly mint to them, or as instantly as the blockchain allows. Um, uh, it's the same technology that was behind our first iteration of what articles on the platform would be like, and then using that technology. That's one thing that I've been lucky enough to kind of stumble into, is that like everything that we build or that we've built, even with our transitions to different use cases, uh, those initial I guess blocks of code are still relevant, down the
Mhm.
road, with minor tweaks.
Mhm. Yeah, so everything you're building now is kind of it was kind of from a broader, I gotta just say, broader pieces of code, and now it's kind of getting down to more specifics, I guess. Like, all those early building blocks are still being used in what you're creating now.
Yeah, obviously we still have the minting process. We've refined it a little bit. At this point, we've allowed you to be able to take multiple photos at once and then, mint them all together. Um, that's just kind of an iteration on the initial app, from 10 months ago.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, like that was kind of my, when I think of my role as CTO, I I thought of it specifically as a coder and developer, and within the team, I really felt my role was to keep the code that we were writing as kind of open-ended as possible, or at least, how can I put it, as transferable as possible, to
Mhm.
not force us down a lane, um,
Mhm.
so that if we saw that there was this specific use case that was more compelling than the others, or there was something that we were missing and we should transition to, that that code would still be usable. It's a Web3 kind of ethos,
Mhm.
that things should be composable, but uh, that's one thing that I think if we could take as a success, is particularly that, is we've been able to kind of stay open to these different use cases, and then once we found one, which was this journalistic content that people were creating and just documenting their world, we realized this is the use case, and now
Mhm.
let's let's refine what we have to best fit this use case, and that's where even the partnerships come in.
Mhm. Yeah, so you're thinking from the beginning of keeping it as open-ended as possible. I mean, it's only helped you in, like, every way because of now it's enabled you to pivot in any direction and in the direction you're in now as well. What exactly is Photure now in your own words?
Yeah, it's funny because it's evolving every step of the way, but as CTO, and kind of the role that I feel myself playing at this point, beyond being a developer, is I want Vulture to become a place for verifiable content online.
Mhm.
Verifiable, photos and videos in particular. Um, and so what does that mean from my perspective, and how does that kind of uh, create a roadmap for what I'm trying to do, is really find places and partnerships where um, verifiable content is needed. Photojournalism and journalism in general was our first use case. So how can I allow people, or how can I make the photojournalism and journalistic processes within Web3 better with Vulture? Well, I can go to the places where people are already creating content, and say, hey, you're writing a blog on, you know, you know, whatever, some of the protests going around the world, or the, Russia-Ukraine war. Wouldn't you like to have, your content that you're taking live, directly embeddable into, that blog post or that article? Um, and to do that, we're integrating, right now with Unlock protocol,
Mhm.
and their tool that they've created called Headline, um, where you can write a blog post, and we're adding just a Photure button where you click on it, it'll bring up uh, all the items that you've made in Photure. So
Wow.
um, finding finding those other places where people are already creating content and saying, well, if you're out there documenting stuff, you know, make your NFTs in Photure and then use them on these other platforms.
Mhm.
um, get that verifiability that yes, I was there, and these are my thoughts, this is my opinion, and then so from my perspective, it's obviously the technology has to be there, but once that's there, where can this be used? Who can use it, and why would they, and then being able to articulate why they want it. So another use case that we come across is just POAPs for events. If I'm holding a concert somewhere and I wanted to give a POAP to my users, yeah, I could have them scan a barcode, and have everybody huddle around a poster somewhere,
Mhm.
or down the road, we can just say like, hey, anyone that's taken a picture of in Photure at this location at this point in time, well, then we know they were there. But we can give them a drop, down the road, and that's continuous integration for fans and their creators, for events and their participants. Uh, so that's a little look down the roadmap for what we're trying to do, but it all starts with verifiable content on chain, and then serving that to our users in their different places where they want to display that content.
And for those who may not know, what exactly is a POAP?
Proof of attendance protocol. And no, it's all good. Like
Okay.
yeah, there's so many acronyms and just so much stuff. Like literally,
Mhm.
I feel like my head is expanding every day. Like even this last week, like I said, we partnered with Unlock, and
Mhm.
they use a ceramic network for their and this is me going into the technical stuff, but they use ceramic network for their blockchain identification services, decentralized IDs and storage of that stuff, and so now I need to learn ceramic and and learn how to deploy a ceramic node, and it's just there's always something new to learn in this sphere, and
Mhm.
that's the one thing that I really enjoy about it too, is that there's always this new challenge of learning and staying on top of the new technologies, which I guess is in pretty much any profession, but it seems
Mhm.
like the rate at which Web3 goes is just you know astounding.
Yeah, it's unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, that's the way I feel, and I'm not learning any of the technology that you have to learn, but all I know is there's new things popping up every day. Half of them I never thought could exist. So it's insane. Just the rate at which things are going. Just I don't know. It's like hard to believe.
Yeah.
But in your own words, why create Photure?
Um. Well, I think the answer to that has kind of changed as we've gone forward. Originally, like I said, it was just a weekend project. It
Mhm.
was something cool. It was kind of Patrick was back in town. Let's get together and hack like the good old days, which were like 3 years ago. So, so yeah, we hacked together. And honestly, I came out of that on Sunday, and I was like, man, this was the most fun I'd had coding in a long time. I was learning
Mhm.
something new. I was building something that I really hadn't seen before, and I went into work. Well, it was during the pandemic, so I was at home, but I was signing into work,
Mhm.
and I just thought like, wow, I I don't think I can do this. Like after what I had done over the weekend, like this was it felt like a step backwards, which is actually funny. What I was doing at that job was I was actually building an app that would allow big box stores to track uh, the work of their contractors. Uh, I was formerly one of those contractors. So it honestly, like, I didn't feel right building it almost,
Mhm.
it's one of those things where it's like those days where, I had to go to another job site or, go to producer of some item to, get something that was needed on site that day. If someone looked at the app, it would have said like, "Oh, I was off the job site for like 2 hours." Like, but in actuality, I was being exceptional at my job. So,
Mhm.
needless to say, that was the day I quit my job. And then actually the next day is when we launched Photure.
Wow.
So at that time, it was just okay, this Web3 stuff is pretty cool. I'm hearing a lot about it. Let's build this app. And then, when I quit my job, I was like, okay, I had saved up a little bit of money, so I had some time. I was like, I'm gonna take some time, kind of learn this Web3 stuff and figure out, if this can be anything. And to give Patrick some credit, he pushed us to build a next version of it, and a few weeks later, and it was like, all right, people kind of liked what we were doing, so let's give them, a few more things. Let's give them a profile screen and some more features, and
Mhm.
more and more people started using it, and then we were part of ETH Global. Was it Web3 Jam in November of 2022, and we kind of put out all the stops, and it's crazy that Patrick was able to do a lot of this because he was still working full time. But we built
Mhm.
out like this like marketplace thing, and I think even in the demo that we showed, it kind of like bugged out. But the idea was there, and after that, we kind of got some attention from some firms and people that we're and still in contact with today. Um, so that was when we kind of decided to take this more seriously. Um, or at least from my perspective, it was like, all right, let's really see what we can do with this. We brought on Matt around that time, and then we started doing the grind.
Mhm.
2 months later, we were in where Phoenix or in Tempe, and trying to just get people to use the app where we met you, and then it really we as we got into Tachyon, uh, that's really when had to think about really why we were building this. You know, I when I did my boot camp, I wanted to build a mobile app and I wanted to build my own company. Um, and it felt like, I was doing that um, uh, pretty much from January to when we got into Tachyon in around April. Um, but once we got into Tachyon and people really started asking us, like, why NFTs? What features are you developing next? What, you know, we, or at least from my perspective, it became, all right, well, if we're going to build something, let's build something for the users that we have. Let's like, why are we trying to like anticipate what people are going to want when we have users, and we can just ask them. So
Mhm.
um, there was a point in time where we had a survey, and after you minted, we just gave you four options and like a little other tag to say like, what do you want us to do next? And I think that process, really solidified for me why I was building it. It's because, to be honest, because people were using it, people were liking it, and I wanted to keep delivering. That feedback loop is it's almost like intoxicating, like,
Mhm.
to create something. I imagine it's like how, on a very micro scale, mind you, but like how like J.K. Rowling might have felt after she wrote the first Harry Potter. It's like,
Mhm.
holy crap, people really like this. Like I'm gonna produce more.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of the first iteration of that. But then we started seeing that use case where, I think some of the first things was obviously the situation in Ukraine and Russia. Um, and then there was a hurricane in Louisiana, and we saw people, taking pictures of, from their rooftops. And it kind of
Mhm.
transitioned to like, okay, like, yeah, like people are using it, people are liking it, but now there's this use case where things are getting, like people are able to document what they're going through, and then like with the added features that we added really later, we can verify that and say like, no, there's a viral video of I think it's CNN showing somebody like uh talking about how deep the water is in like this flooded area. Like
Mhm.
somebody's like rowing. I think the anchor is like rowing in a boat, and then they see somebody like walking in the water right behind them,
Mhm.
and it's just like it's just like, okay, like, obviously, like, Photure isn't gonna fix that, but it is gonna fix those, or at least it can fix those issues where somebody, posts a video of violence at a protest, and they say this was, yesterday, and really it was 6 years ago, you know.
Mhm.
So building out this platform that allows you to create this verifiable content and then give it to these people who are going out there and really documenting what they're going through, and telling the stories of people who historically have had their stories either co-opted or, just part of this giant narrative. um and then allowing those individuals to really own that story uh became just too compelling to let to not build, basically.
Mhm.
Now it's like, all right, well, like I have to do this. Like I see this use case, and I see where it could go, and who it could benefit. And
Mhm.
it becomes not even a question. It's just, all right, like,
Yeah,
how fast
no.
can I do this?
So people will be able to document like history that's happening in front of them, and it will be able to be verified that it's actually happening here at this time in this location.
Yeah, and then if you want to take it to another level, like, it's happening here, at this location at this time, to me, you know,
Mhm.
and then here's my story. Um, there may, and it's yet to be seen. We're still early. We've got to see how people use the tools that we've created, but
Mhm.
uh people have, co-opted, narratives to fit what they their worldview, or the worldview that they want to, propagate. And what I want to do with Photure, at least, one of my goals, is to say like, well, if you're going to take, somebody's opinion from something that is happening or has happened, um, let it be the actual person that was there. You know, uh,
Mhm.
if you're gonna take in some sort of bias, which we all are subjected to just through, the media. One of the things in our pitch deck is 90% of the media consumed in the US is owned by one of 6 companies.
Mhm.
So, obviously those 6 companies are gigantic. They have sponsors, they have, boards, they have these, mechanisms that, may not like certain things that are said. So if we can allow, or if we can create a platform where if you see something, on that platform, you know that it was created by that individual was there, then at the very least, what I can assume is that the content around that experience is that one individual's experience, and whatever biases may be within that content is the biases of that individual, you know and then you get to an interesting point where it's like, okay, well, where do those biases come from, you know where why does this person see this particular event or this particular situation the way that they do. um and it's an experiment right now. Maybe that's not what people want in some of their social media, but I think it's an interesting one, and I'm curious about what people are going to create and how they're going to share their experiences with the world. So that's why we're to go
Mhm.
back to the question, like, I think that's why I'm building it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's really interesting. Um, and nothing's ever been done like this before. And is that's because of the technology that you have right now. I know Patrick said kind of standing on the shoulders of giants, but you're kind of putting the pieces together, making the bridges between these giants to allow this to happen because this is one of a kind. Like nothing has been done like this before.
Yeah, there's platforms that have been created by people out there that say we're going to be for truth and we're going to be for this or that, and it's like, all right, like, what are the like what mechanisms are you creating, or what protocols are you using that can certify that,
Mhm,
or we're going to be for free speech, and it's like, okay, like, uh, do do you?
yeah.
Well, we all that I can say is like, all right, like, if someone is going to make a claim that this is how the world is, or this is what happened, um you should you should have probably been
Yeah.
there. So 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 then just creating a tool that allows you to, or allows us to verify, yes, you were there, and then you can share that, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram or on Facebook, within the Photure platform or other Web3 platforms, Mirror, Paragraph. Um,
Mhm,
I don't really care, where you tell your story, but by implementing
mhm,
Filter, we can add a layer of verifiability and basically like tracking of that
mhm,
content, and tracking is a I guess it, especially when you talk about the internet, there's a bad connotation. So let me
mhm,
rephrase that. Uh there's a level of accountability that Web3 can add, and particularly the tools that we're building at Filter can add, that the internet, to be completely honest, has been devoid of, I feel. And that's where I think the standing on giants metaphor comes into play, because you know social media isn't new. Comments, taking photos, Instagram did it exceptionally, 12 years ago.
mhm,
But adding this verifiability on top of it, and creating just a more user owned, individual, uh, I guess, network, um, is the, you know, is the I guess the extra piece that we think can take the social media that we have and take it to a place where there's more trust in what you're seeing. Um, there's more understanding of, like I said, the biases involved
Hmm.
in what people are espousing.
Hmm. And like, as far as like, just to touch back on when you said tracking, but don't want to send the wrong message out to anyone. Like, when doing this, you can remain completely anonymous when posting this verifiable content. You can remain completely anonymous, correct?
Yeah, as anonymous as the blockchain allows, if you want, you can sign up with your email. At that in that case, your email is out there. We
Hmm.
don't attach your email to the NFT, like on the blockchain or anything like that. It's just a one-to-one rate or one-to-one connection to your wallet. But if you come up with your own wallet, there's Web3 sleuths out there that are, trying to figure out who's or like whenever there's a hack that happens, people, try and figure out, where it came from and who did it. And
Hmm.
really smart people are able to sometimes find the original culprit. What we can say at Photure is that we are not keeping any of your data. It's all on IPFS and therefore decentrally stored.
Hmm.
And then we're not asking for any identifiable information, and that's something that we're gonna maintain uh, as far as as far as I'm CTO. I mean, I guess that's that's something that I really believe in, and I think is particularly necessary for a platform to uh, truly be a place where free speech is encouraged and the people can post their truth, plain and simply. So yeah.
And so all these other platforms, like there may be other ones that have been popping up or will pop up that say they're about truth, but in reality, there's nothing really that makes them different from the ones before them. When you have Photure, you actually have all these different pieces of technology that can guarantee that you're different than these other types of platforms. And the information that's on there is actually there's like a better layer of truth or just, like accountability, like you said, that these other platforms, they don't have. They just can't bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's our capturing tool and the minting process. There's other firms that are doing things similar, and we're looking to integrate some of what they're doing. But I would argue if that's your goal, then reach out to us. Like I said, we want to kind of allow people to utilize the benefits of Photure, wherever they're, most comfortable. So if that's taking a picture in Photure and, like I said, using it on Twitter, Instagram, wherever,
Mhm,
or whatever the new, social platforms of the future lie, come and have a conversation. It's that's part of the ethos of Web3 is composability, the whole wag me
mhm,
sentiment. So yeah, it's I'd love to, and that's what I'm so glad to be working with Unlock right now. Right now, it's we're using their headline tool, but down the road to start incorporating their time locked in NFTs in order to create like premium content from some of the creators on Photure. uh,
Mhm.
that's just the start, you know?
Mhm. And so in the vision of Photure, how do you see it changing lives or the world?
Yeah, I guess just, the internet is, just more and more so becoming, you know, an integral part of people's lives, from the job search, like, people back in the day used to actually walk from business to business to to try and find a job,
Mhm.
with, a stack of 50 resumes in hand, to people just communicating on a daily basis. Like there's a meme around, like, I think it's, most meetings should be a phone call, most phone calls should be an email, most emails should be a text.
Mm.
So when we when we live in this digital world, there there hasn't really been accountability towards one's intent when interacting, particularly with the social aspects of the web.
Mhm.
Um, you don't know if somebody's just there to inflame people, if this is what they truly believe, if they were actually there, show me
Mhm.
receipts. So I think Fulcher can be, and at least what we're starting with is a tool that allows the people that want to um, add that verifiability, the people that are proud of where they've gone, what they've done, and the message that they're sending across. They can say, I was there. It's provable because of, Fulcher. And then this is my opinion. These are my thoughts. This is my experience.
Mhm.
Um, from there, it's, I believe we're gonna be in a world where you're potentially um, your NFT collection or your Web3, profile will be a representation of, the things you believe in, the experiences that you've had, whether that be through collabs or, photos and culture, the ideas that you believe in. Um, and if that future is going to happen, then there needs to be a way to know that, these things come from that individual, for one. It wasn't
Mhm.
just an NFT that was transferred to that person without their, you know, um, knowledge. And then two, that that there is a standard in which we can say, like, this is this is me, and this is the whole me. And if you take that authenticity, um if you when you consume my content, you are getting an authentic version of my life experiences, and those life experiences have shaped the views that you are either reading or seeing or, consuming,
Mhm.
which is probably what I think the social media that we consume right now is most lacking, is we just don't know the intent of a lot of people's messaging, and therefore, and we don't know their, you know we don't know the receipts. We don't know if they were there. We don't know if they um truly kind of live what they're espousing, you know.
Mhm.
They if they we don't know if they truly you know basically believe what they're saying,
Mhm.
or can at least show you that they're backing up what they're saying with actions. So with Fulcher, we want to give the people that want to do that the ability to do so, and then
Mhm.
through that, a Twitter post with a Photure, stamped image on it has more credibility than one without it. You know,
Mhm.
well, and why is that? Well, it's because this proves that I was there. You know,
So people that take pride in being real and want people to know that they're being, I mean, basically as truthful as they can be about what they're posting, you think they're the people that'll benefit most?
I think so, especially in the short term, and as we build out more tools. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Um, I think those people will utilize it most. To be honest, I think the people seeing their content are the ones that are going to benefit most, you know?
Yeah.
It's the people that can say like, okay, like I recognize that this is authentic, and therefore, maybe, somebody just disregards, photos I'd love to see a day where somebody, posts a picture on Twitter and says like, oh, this is, this happened, and then somebody says, well, show me it on Photure, or even
Mhm.
better, somebody says that, and then they go on Photure, look up that event, and can see, several posts just like it, and can go
Mhm.
back to that and say, yeah, that happened, this date here, because, then they, maybe, link to the Photures of that experience. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think the people that want to verify their content are going to be the early adopters and our first users. That's why I think some of the journalists that we've talked to are really excited about what we're doing.
Mhm.
But I really think the consumers of those individuals and their content are really the ones that are going to benefit the most
Mhm.
going forward.
And do you think there's like specific groups of people in the world right now that you visualize benefiting most from when Photure the next version comes out?
Um, Yeah, I think it's those people that are, up close and personal with some of these major events going on around the world. There's the war in Ukraine and Russia. There's the protests going on around the United States. And there's conflicts all over the world. The world needs to see those,
Mhm.
and to be aware of, what's happening, and ideally, get a perspective of that from, people at the ground level. Obviously, there's always a necessity for experts and people that are really versed in the particulars of what's going on in a particular region or particular conflict. Um, but if that conflict doesn't bring in ad dollars, we're not going to hear about
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
So if Photure can help bring eyes to some of those situations, um, and then add what Photure adds, that verifiability, that I was there, kind of validation to it, then maybe it gets a little more um, uh, publicity. Maybe if somebody is telling their story and it's tragic or funny or whatever, it gets the ball moving when it comes to action being taken to right some of these wrongs. So
Mhm. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Something that just came to mind was like I saw a video go around of Mark Cuban say, "How could someone use blockchain technologies to disrupt an industry?" And so basically, when I mean, knowing Photure, how I know it, I believe, and I want to know if you believe that. Do you think it can disrupt the news media industry because it seems like it's going to alter and enhance the way we consume news media, and I mean, just and every type of media. So do you think that this Photure will be a disruptor basically in just the consumption of information on the internet?
I think we have that potential, and we're striving towards that. But it starts out with proving out our kind of theses or theses. I think it's theses. So it's proving out our minting process and our validation verification model. It's cross-checking that with other people that are trying to do similar things and coming up with the best version of that. And then the one thing about the news media that is so ubiquitous right now is that the structure of it is so um, it's so well, I guess centralized, but like even beyond
Mhm,
that, it's so automatic at this point. So for Fulcher to really become that a disruptor in that space, we've got to create the network effects that allow people to create things and then like right now we're focused I guess I guess the word focused works. We're so focused on the individual um, and allowing them to create that verified content in the best way that they possibly can. Um, at some point, that would transition to a group of individuals being able to create that content as the best that they can. And then that group turns into an organization. That organization can grow. And so in order for us to disrupt news media, it can't just be or it can't stop at individual creators.
mhm.
These creators need to would and we want to build the tools to allow creators to band together and turn one creator's side project into 10 creators news outlet somewhere where a traditional news outlet just wouldn't be able to survive. Maybe there's just not enough people. What maybe the infrastructure isn't there. So if we can build out the tools to allow people to, go from, individual creator to part of an organization that's a news outlet for a particular, topic or a particular area, and then, grow from there. I think we definitely have that I think that's definitely a trajectory that I see Photure able to take. Um, but right now we're focused on creating that individual experience
Mhm.
and proving out our technology and placing it strategically within people's uh, traditional workflows.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And uh so about the roadmap. So do you see, you said the version may be coming out within the next week, another version, but how far do you feel you are, I mean, building this thing from where you want it to be?
Yeah, I mean it's weird. Coming as just a developer from, being on teams at, Fortune 500 companies and whatnot, we have, these short cycles of, all right, a version's coming out in a month and then, if I talk to the higher ups, maybe we have a, tentative plan for, 6 months and a year down the road. Um,
Mhm.
in the position that we're at right now, we have a short and a medium term kind of pretty solid idea of what we want to do.
Mhm.
Um, was the question particularly like some of the things that we want to do in it? Because I can go into that.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. So this version it's going to be a little bit pared back from what we had in July, I think, or in June.
Mhm,
Um, and we want to really go back to having a smooth minting process, and then a smooth consumption of your content. With the added feature right now is that anyone that wants to create further content or long form content can do so with our integration with Unlock. Um, and so that's the first step.
mhm,
And we're going to be testing it out this week and hopefully getting it out by the end of this week and getting it into the hands of our journalists. From there, it's would be bringing back some of the social features of Photure and adding on top of those social features. So with Unlike, we're working with Ceramic. There's a really cool you know Web3 project on Ceramic called Orbis.
mhm,
And we're actually having some conversations with some of the creators there of incorporating that Web3 social platform into what we're doing, uh, which would allow just more interactions between users, creators, and just and then more content specific around certain uh, events or uh, like keywords almost.
mhm,
Um, and then we want to also starting, kind of getting the Photure platform integrated with more publishing uh, entities. So at this point, one of the things that I'm working on is a like a Photure gallery uh, software development kit that would be almost plug and play for anyone that wants to incorporate Photure's or individuals' items that they've made in Photure. All they need to do is pass in the user's wallet address, and we'd be able to get that for them, so that they could incorporate it into their website in a matter of minutes.
wow,
And so when we do that, um, then it's a matter of looking at the ecosystem and how people are using the platform and and determining the next short and medium term uh, moves.
mhm,
Long term, we would like the publication of content to be able to be linked, I think, and consumed directly in the app.
uh-huh,
Um, that's something that we kind of have to be um, patient with, just because one of the things that is kind of a hidden you know a hidden issue for what Vulture is trying to do is that we are mobile developers and we're building a mobile first platform. Um, Web3 on mobile is not where it's at on web, just
mhm,
plain and simply. And so a lot of the technologies that we're trying to work with, we're literally going in and adjusting the web versions of them to work in our ecosystem and React Native in particular. Um, because of that, there's times where we want to implement something where we run up against like what's literally possible in mobile apps at the moment. And
mhm,
so I guess the last piece of that question is if if we're running up against that like wall frequently, someone has to break it down, and
mhm,
it's gonna like the more as CTO, the more that I hit that wall, the more that I'm like, all right, it's gonna have to be us.
yeah.
you know, like if we want an SDK that's gonna work fantastically in a mobile environment, well, we're gonna have to build it. But the thing
Mhm.
is, if we do build it, we the composability ethos of Web3, like we build it and then we make it available for other people to use. Like,
Mhm.
it's going back to the WAGMI statement. Like, if we it started with Wallet Connect and working in that Discord to get it to work on in React Native, and then
Wow.
uh what else are we doing? Well, ceramic right now, and then Orbis being built on top of that. So um, that's that is like, if we can become not only just a verified content on the blockchain, but then also leaders in uh, building out Web3, just mobile uh, software, kind
Mhm.
of similar to what Rainbow kind of transitioned, or is transitioning, or kind of has transitioned to where now they're not only just like great um, you know mobile Ethereum wallet, but now they're also building out tools for other developers to incorporate Web3 into their uh, platforms. If we can be that for mobile, then I see a multitude of options for us as we continue to build out the mobile app and the social features and the integrations, but then also uh, build out these tools for other developers to not only incorporate Photure, but to incorporate Web3 just in general.
Mhm. Do you feel like you and Patrick and Evan are more well positioned to break through that barrier than anyone else?
Um, I definitely feel like like we have because you have to have the want to do that, you have to have
Mhm.
the skill to do that, and then you have to have like the driving force, like I
Mhm.
feel like that's kind of with anything. And it's and because of that, the combination of those factors, then I would argue that we are in a place where we can do that. Um,
Mhm.
and and almost to the point where we have to,
Yeah.
so it doesn't really, like, it's not really a question.
Yeah.
Like, we there's so many factors that make it so that we are in a position where it would benefit us, and then it, like, you know again, we're building up the app, we're pushing up against that barrier that we're seeing. You know, we have networking opportunities, through Tachyon, and just through some of the other founders that we've met, just incredibly talented developers. So
Mhm.
it kind of seems like we are in a good position to where, like, hey, we could do this. We could be kind of a driving force behind uh, some of these uh, tools that will be necessary if Web3 is to fully, transition to Web3. So
Mhm.
I guess the answer to that is yes, but it's the combination of skill set, network, um, and necessities.
Mhm.
Like, we need these tools, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll build it.
Well, yeah, no, it's great that you can build the tools that, or you can see yourself building the tools that you need and have the capability to.
Yeah, I think part of that is just an absurd amount of confidence in my abilities, because like I kind of was saying earlier, like, so much of this stuff I kind of have to learn on the fly, and the cycle of learn, test, implement, you know, as Photure has gone on, it's just had to become quicker and quicker and tighter. Um,
Mhm.
and when you do that so many times, like I was new to Web3 when we started building Photure, like last September,
Mhm.
and so when you provably, can do something, it just gives you that confidence that, like, hey, why can't I do this next thing?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
so
why not
yeah,
me? Right?
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So it's so do I believe I can do it? Yeah. But it requires, the 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 knowledge, so time to learn that, the people around me to fill in the gaps that I don't have, and that's
Mhm.
why, like, the network is so important. The last thing I want to do is just say that, like, I think that, like, alone can build out this stuff, because even just
Mhm.
having Patrick on the team is incredibly helpful. If it weren't for Patrick, the Filter app would not be fast and easy. It might work, but it probably would be a lot more cumbersome to use.
Mhm.
Um, so um, so just being able to rely on some of the even just our fellow founders in our Tachyon cohort, uh, for advice, and honestly, just to talk to every once in a while. It's a grind out here, and
Mhm.
we've just gotta keep going, and build, iterate, and give people something cool.
I believe in you guys, and I know you guys will deliver. So, yeah, no, I know you guys have the skill set and the experiences, the background, the knowledge. Like, I don't think there'd be anyone else I'd rather have working on this thing. And with the perspectives that you guys have, like, just the ethos. And I know you guys are trying to do this for the right reasons. So it's exciting. And I know that I don't think there'd be anyone else that could take it to where I think you guys can take it. So,
Oh, yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. It's a those are high words, and I thank you, and we need it, honestly, because, like I said, sometimes it beats you down when you don't know how that something's going to work, or you're just you're in that cycle of learning, and you're like, how am I ever going to get this? But
mhm,
knowing that you're building it for specific people that are looking forward to it, it definitely it buoys us and lifts us
mhm,
up and gets us to sit back down and try one more line of code.
mhm, one more rep.
Right.
Well, we've gone a little bit over an hour. Um, I've gotten to a lot of questions, not every single one, but if there's anything else that you might feel like you want to talk about or anything you might want to elaborate on, I feel like maybe now would be a good time to get into that before we close it out.
Yeah, no, let me think. I guess, how are you enjoying working with us, and you work a lot closer with Matt, so I know.
Mhm.
I've been meaning to reach out, but I've just been busy. But
I
yeah,
mean,
how's
yeah,
it
you
been?
guys are pretty busy. You guys got some things to do, but no, I've been enjoying this. I've been enjoying, I mean, the pivot. I mean, it's at first it was just like I had to take a step back, kind of realize what was going on, see how my role was changing. But it's like, I mean, I'm willing to do whatever I have to do. I mean, for the team, whatever I have to do. So it's like, this is my role. This is where I fit in. I'm willing to dive right in, and it might be uncomfortable, but that's important because that's how you grow. So, but I know I can do it. I mean, just, having the confidence and the belief, like you said, you have to have it. How could you
Yeah,
not? So I think I'm perfectly suited to fit my role, and I'm happy to have it. Sometimes you forget how lucky you are, and I'm just gotta like remember where I were before I met you guys, where I was, and now that I'm here now, it's just like if me 6 months ago to a year ago would see where I'm at now, he would think that it just wasn't real. It wasn't true. So, you know what I mean?
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. I like, the times when I'm, ruminating over this and trying to figure out what to do and then stressed out. I think back to like, you know, before when I was, working and at one point I was working overnights in a factory, and it's like
Mhm.
this is nothing,
Yeah.
figure it out, or moments where it's like, you know, I wanted to own my own company. I wanted to build something,
Mhm.
special. Like I asked for this,
Exactly.
you know.
Like, that's yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, the stress is coming down, then you just take a step back. It's like, wait a minute, this is what I asked for. So I need to
Yeah,
relax for and then reassess and dive back in.
yeah, and we figure it out, and luckily we've got each other to kind of lean on, and like I said, it's all about the network, the community, who you're
Mhm.
doing it with. Like you guys make this, you make it fun,
Mhm. Yeah, no,
um,
I think we all, we all bring something fun to the table. And I mean, and that's one of the least important things really that we bring to the table, I guess, is making it fun, but it makes it so much better.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it makes those times where you're doubting yourself and you don't know what to do. It makes those times a little bit easier to get through. But they're still tough, and we just I don't know. We are focused on trying to deliver the best product that we can do
Mhm.
that can really kind of elevate people's experience with Web3 and social media, and then and yeah, I I don't know how to put it. I just I
Mhm.
just think back like, all right, like it's time to get back to work. Thank you, man. Thank you for your work.
Mhm.
This is, like I said, this has been fun. It's like
Yeah.
it's good to step away from the code. Um, as I say that, I'm gonna be stepping right back into it. But
Mhm.
yeah, keep an eye out for Poacher's new release, coming, probably by the end of this week or early next week, and we're excited to see what people create and how people use the platform. Um,
All right. Well, it was great having you on, Evan, and I can't wait to have you back on again soon. Thank you for stopping in, and it's been great to catch up and see what's been going on behind the scenes at Photure.
been awesome, Ian. Thank you.